Welcome back to the channel. I thought I would take this opportunity to talk about the Scottish contingent in WWE, at least three of them, and it's a little, honestly, a bit of a mixed bag. Some good news and some not so good news this week regarding the Scottish competitors. Firstly, it has been a good time for both Drew McIntyre and Joe Hendry, especially. Uh, as I record this, which is the 4th of February 2026, on last night's edition of WWE's NXT, there was a 7-man ladder match for the vacant NXT Championship. The championship of NXT being vacant because the previous champion, Oba Femi, suddenly vacated the championship for reasons I don't think have been put across quite yet. I think it's obviously kind of one of the main and obvious kind of reasons in NXT is because of moving up to the main roster or his desire to move up to the main roster. I think that's maybe it, but I obviously with the time difference and work, I haven't had the chance to watch NXT yet. But what they have done is upload the entire 7-man ladder match up onto WWE's own YouTube channel, which, if you watch it, kind of spoiler alert, I guess, will show you none other than Scotland's own Joe Hendry win the vacant NXT Championship. I've quickly flicked through the match a little bit. I think it's Ricky Saints at the end of the match that he forces off of the ladder. They have a good spot where they kind of both have a hold of the championship and are pulling on it. And Joe eventually is able to gain possession of the championship belt and therefore become the NXT champion. And this is really good for Joe. Joe is a guy that I followed literally for about 13 years at this point. I followed him since, well, pretty much not quite the start of his career, but pretty soon after. Joe actually used to wrestle around the Dundee and Tayside area. The less said about that promotion, the better. But it was one of the, and it wasn't an exclusive thing either. Uh, it was just kind of one of the promotions that he would get his foot in the door in early on, and actually he won the championship, which I think certainly was at least one of the earliest championships that he won in his career. So I've been following him a long time, and obviously as time started to go on, so did pretty much a lot of Scotland with his stuff that he did in ICW and elsewhere and all the different opportunities, and then across the UK that he very quickly was able to gain. And it's genuinely been fantastic to see the journey that he's been on. Especially lately with in TNA, of course, he's a former TNA world champion, and then making appearances in likes of the Royal Rumble last year. Then of course, obviously as well, end up being the mystery opponent for Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I've talked about that previous. That was fantastic. Again, that was another thing I couldn't stay up to watch it because of work. So I kind of woke up and saw the news that it was Joe, and fantastic to find it when I was able to sit down and watch it. Um, I mean, it's kind of spoiler and kind of events like WrestleMania. If you don't want to know things that go on, you keep off social media, which is that's the best idea because there's always people that complain, and there'll be people that complain about that this year. But it's genuinely been great to see events like that, and there has been talk recently of Joe going up to the main roster. There was a lot of suggestions recently about maybe Joe being on either Raw or SmackDown on a permanent basis, because it definitely seems, I believe it was November, it was strongly rumoured and reported that he signed a kind of a full-time contract with WWE again after being in TNA. and slowly going, slowly making that kind of transition between TNA and WWE. It's been reported it was about November that he signed the WWE contract officially. So it's great to see this because I think this shows as well that WWE are still having their faith in Joe. It's not kind of a gimmick thing. I guess it kind of a little bit is, but he's built his career up on um, some of the kind of more unusual steps, and like say his name and he appears, and the music videos as well and stuff like that. But saying that, it's worked for him. He's been able to build himself up, improve himself over the years, and get to where he is now, which is a WWE superstar, and not only a WWE superstar, NXT champion, and that is a heck of an achievement. Whatever you think of him and his abilities in the ring, which I think he's definitely improving. And I've seen personally a few good matches live with Joe, especially one or two. I think maybe two that I've seen, but certainly one at least minimum. A really good match that he had with UK wrestling legend Doug Williams. I know they had a series of matches across the UK at one point. And Doug can wrestle a mop. I think, as the old phrase goes. He could wrestle a mop or something and make it look good. But Joe is no slouch either. So it's great to see that WWE have this faith in Joe Hendry, that you know they are putting him in this prominent position. And again, people have their own opinions at NXT. I like it. It's the best way I think that there is for WWE to bring through new stars and to train them and things like that. I think it's the absolute best idea that really that WWE, well, one of the best ideas that WWE has had is to, and Triple H is obviously heavily involved in it, to have the performance center and to create NXT, which ironically I believe didn't they, I think, buy that have to buy that name from a Scottish promotion, because there was a promotion calling themselves, or part of the promotion calling itself NXT. I believe I'm right in that. Maybe. I'm pretty sure I am though. But it's great to see WWE having their faith in Joe. I cannot honestly wait to see what Joe does with the championship, uh, where WWE takes Joe Hendry, and where now Joe Hendry takes NXT. So I can't wait for that, especially as we're now obviously in the road to WrestleMania. Talking quickly about Drew McIntyre, again, two Scottish male WWE champions this makes, with Joe winning the NXT champion because I believe it was January the 9th on SmackDown in the Three Stages of Hell match. Drew McIntyre regained the undisputed WWE Championship. Again, I'm very much showing my bias, but I am Scottish. I identify as Scottish, so it's really nothing, no skin off my big nose, but genuinely, it's fantastic to have seen Drew win the WWE Championship. I honestly thought, and I think a few people did. I mean, you always hedge your bets sometimes in professional wrestling, but I kind of thought that maybe Cody Rhodes would actually take the championship into the Royal Rumble and potentially up to WrestleMania. I could easily see that happening, but of course, with the interference of Jacob Fatu, that cost Cody. Drew was able to escape through the steel cage door and win the championship. So, always happening. Drew, again, another guy that I followed just before he signed with WWE. I started with the Wrestling Channel. Uh, Being broadcast in the UK, I saw a few of his matches in Irish Whip Wrestling, including against Sheamus. So it's been a long road that he's been on, one of reinvention as well, because when he got released, actually here in Dundee was one of the places, I think it's one of the first places outside of Glasgow that he's wrestled for ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, a very well known promotion in Scotland. That this was one of the places where I know, because a mutual friend told me I don't really speak anymore, just because of not any reason, but telling a friend that kind of knew him at the time, Apparently, Drew was a little bit nervous of wrestling here in Dundee for ICW because he thought that he wasn't really honestly quite sure about what reaction he would get here in Dundee. I've said this before as well, but he was really not sure what kind of reaction he would actually get. And I was there at the show. It was a great reaction. Everybody was so happy and genuinely wanting to see him anyway. So uh, things like that. He went away from WWE when he was released and reinvented himself, and he's a huge success now. One of the biggest names in Scottish wrestling, undoubtedly. From glory to a little bit of an unfortunate situation now with Piper Niven. Genuinely, yet again, another name here in Scotland that I genuinely have followed for many years. Uh, she again also used to wrestle here in Dundee occasionally. Again, she wrestled various different company, many different companies actually in Scotland, in the UK, and further abroad. You know, we actually even fans, unfortunately, because the promoter and less said about that place again, the better. We continued to have to tell him we want to see the women because they were putting on really good matches across Scotland, across the UK. At that point, we kept having to kind of say we really need to see these people and they need to have, we really love to see them having matches here in Dundee. We kind of have to keep cajoling him and literally keep telling him. And they did draw a good crowd on a few of the shows, and they had some excellent matches. But sadly, Piper Niven for the past 5 months or so has been dealing with a bit of a neck injury, and yesterday, which kind of works out good for timing and for this video, I guess. Uh, on her Twitter at Piper Niven WWE, she actually replied, I believe it was, to a fan's question about how she was. I'll read out her response because it's a little bit long, but obviously this is what she said. I am in a good spot right now. I'm sorry I've been so quiet with you guys. I appreciate every single message and every tweet I get, even if I haven't liked or responded. The truth is, I've been so quiet as I know you have questions, but the fact of the matter is, I don't know yet. It's 5 months on, and some days when it's bad, I can't stand up for more than a few minutes, if even a minute. Do I want to come back? Of course I do. This is all I've done and all I've wanted to do since I was 16 years old, and I can't imagine doing anything else. I still love it as much as I did the first day I started, and I feel I was really just starting to get confident again and open up and hit my groove. So, all this to say, I hope so. Keep your fingers crossed for me. And it's cross finger emoji with a uh, kiss, kissing face emoji. Genuinely, this is one of the injuries that really has quite saddened me again. I saw her wrestle locally here in Dundee and then another couple of promotions as well, including Discovery Wrestling, which nowadays Joe Hendry actually is the owner of. So it's kind of really, and obviously we went to Glasgow several times for a few of their big events, and where she wrestled there, of course. It's really sad to see her in the position she is now with this neck injury, because she was doing genuinely good stuff with Chelsea Green and Alba Fire, who again another woman that she's known for years. They battled across Scotland and the UK, and again all loads of different promotions. It is really unfortunate to see Piper Niven in this position, because she really is a good wrestler. She's a decent human being as well. Again, I'm not claiming to know all these people, but genuinely the conversations I've had, what everybody says about her, she's really genuinely a good human being. And it's just really unfortunate because she could do so much. It's another one of these cases where, and I know it's difficult in WWE, everybody wants to clamour to be the top. Everybody wants to clamour to be, the main eventer. And I know there's been talk about Chelsea Green, which I might talk about in a couple of days because I've got my own thoughts regarding the position that she's in and things that have been said about that. But Piper Niven, she really is a good wrestler. She does know her stuff. She is very well experienced. She's been one of the highlights again of Scottish wrestling, of UK wrestling, for many years. So it is a real shame. Last time we heard she was all off touring around America. I don't know her contract situation. Um, that's something that might influence a little bit of whether she comes back. And again, 5 months and a bit on, it again, it's impossible, really, especially publicly, to put a time frame on that kind of thing. Again, we will not know, and I don't think we should know any talks or any conversations that she's having with any medical staff, any doctors, or anything like that, unless it's something either she's coming back or she's not coming back, and that's mean the decision. I would certainly hope that maybe WWE offer her some kind of role, or she's able to do something in professional wrestling, because it would be a shame to lose her if she isn't able to come back. Which personally, again, I sincerely hope that she is able to come back, because she is a good talent. Again, she could be a really good attraction for WWE. She could be a really good superstar for the company. Again, I kind of feel sorry because again I've seen her many times live and on YouTube things and stuff like that. She is a really good wrestler, and yeah, again, it's one of those things where we, the WWE universe didn't really get a chance to properly see what she can do and what she's willing and able to do. So it is a bit unfortunate that way, but I sincerely hope, fingers crossed, that she is able to come back, fingers and everything else crossed, that she is able to come back eventually, or she's able to do something positive. Again, I'm fingers crossed that, and everything crossed that she is able to come back. Um, it seems to be taking time. Again, I'm not going to try and guess her health things or that because that's just silly to try and do. And known her a little bit. Again, I've met her a few times. She's one of those people I don't really want to go down that road. But so I certainly hope that she'll get some positive, encouraging news soon, and be able to um, do whatever she is doing, um, do whatever rehabilitation that she needs to do, and eventually we hopefully can see her back in a WWE or wrestling ring, not how it works out. So definitely a mixed bag when it comes to the current fortunes of the Scottish contingent in WWE. Again, it's great to see some of again, Joe Hendry and Drew McIntyre, have the championship success that they're having. Yes, it would be great if we had that in the female form as well. Again, maybe someone like Alba Fire, um, able to maybe strike out on her own at some point and win a championship or two as well. That kind of thing would be great. I don't know whether there's any other female wrestler on WWE's radar in terms of Scottish talent, uh, but it would be great to see a female champion in WWE somewhere, whether it be in NXT, Intercontinental, United States, one of the two women's world titles. It would be great to see a female Scottish wrestler win a championship there. So it is unfortunately a little bit of a mixed bag of fortunes right now. Always great to see Scottish success in anything, um, whether it be sports, academia, um, whatever it is, but it's fantastic to see that two great Scottish athletes right now are having success with Joe Hendry and Drew McIntyre, both representing Scotland very proudly, carrying their WWE championships aloft.